did you gain by losing that attachment to all these things? What happened as a result of letting go of all the things you thought you needed and this kind of raw meeting of life?
Freedom. I mean, freedom happened. Maybe a new form of strength, but I would say freedom. That I realized that what can happen that is worse than that? What can happen? I mean, whatever happens, I'll be able to cope. And if I can't cope, okay, I'll die, and so what? What am I afraid of today? Of course, I'm afraid for the world. I fear for that my grandchildren might get in terrible trouble. I fear violence, that someone might break into my house and beat us to death. Of course, those are like vague fears that everybody has. But truly, I can start again. I think I can overcome almost everything.
So you talked about something very important that we also, experience in our work together that seems very contradictory to normal people's way of being with life, which is instead of trying to get away from pain, instead of going away from what is so difficult in this dying process of your daughter, you stayed with the feelings. You came closer and closer to them and opened into the feelings. And it was that kind of intimacy with what is apparently unbearable, in which you discovered that it was bearable, and not only that it set you free. That if we really meet whatever life offers, openly and with courage, that it can transform.
Well, I didn't have a choice, Walter. Later in life with you, I have learned to be in touch with feelings and stay with the feelings. To do that purposely. That year with Paula, I had not met you yet, and I didn't have a choice. There was no escape. Before that, in my life, I had been in situations in which I thought I could not stand it any longer. For example, the dictatorship in Chile. I just could not stand it, and I ran away. I got out. I got out of a marriage that wasn't working. I got out of relationship or things that were not working for me or were traumatizing me. But with Paula, there was no escape. The only liberation for her was death. And that was something it took me a year to accept. So the idea of staying with the pain was not something that I decided. It was something that happened. And after that experience, when in my work with you, it's easier. It's always easier because anything that happens, any emotion is less traumatizing than that and less long than that. So I can stay with whatever comes.
I'm reminded, for example, about the inquiry process we did where you were discovering death, not as an idea.
As a real experience of death.
Yeah. How was that? Tell us more about that, how that was.
Yeah, we were together and you had me breathe and breathe, and I don't know what happened. I started breathing deeper and deeper, and suddenly I had an experience that at the beginning was very similar to when I took ayahuasca, the drug in the Amazon, that it sort of leads you into a journey that may end in an experience of death, although you don't die. But I had at the beginning more or less the same experience that I floated. I went into a white space, and then eventually into nothing. And the nothing was no body, no ego, no soul, no connect, no memory, nothing. And I stayed there probably seconds only. I don't remember because I was not aware of anything. But at some point you brought me back and I realized that I had died. That was death. That thing that was not, that is almost impossible to describe because you cannot relate it to anything personal, to anything that your body experiences or your mind is used to experience. And it's not as if you become a spirit and you're an eagle flying somewhere. It's a void that is also full.
And how did it impact you to have that experience? Often people are scared of death. They fear exactly this disappearing, this void. How did it impact you?
Oh, for me it's tempting. It's not that I want to die. I don't have a death wish, but it was a perfect state. It was perfect because you are everything and you are not you and you are nothing really, and at the same time you are everything. It's very hard to explain, but there's nothing to be afraid of. I felt extremely comfortable. It was hard to come back.
On our website globalleadership.tv you will find additional footage, other dialogues with innovation leaders from around the world, and also the hands-on practices that help them and their organizations to move from inspiration to real change.